Hello and welcome to the new Prisoners Families Helpline website. I'm going to give you a brief tour and show you some of the new features you can find when you visit the newly redesigned site. So starting here with the header, you've got, of course, your Prisoners Families Helpline logo. This now acts as the home button. So wherever you are on the website, if you click on the logo, it will take you straight back to home. We've got our helpline opening hours. We have a search bar here, so you can type in visiting prison, for example, and it will quickly bring up the content that you're after without you having to look through all the pages. We have our phone icon here. So if you're viewing the website on a mobile, if you click on this, it will automatically open up a call to the helpline. Or if you're on a computer, it will try and do a call using Skype. We have our worries and concerns button here, which goes to our new Safer Custody portal, and I'll be telling you a bit more about that as we go on. You'll also find over here on the right-hand side, the Google Translate button. So if you click on here, you can translate all of the content on the website into any of these languages. So for example, I'll click on Ukrainian. As you can see, all of the content has been translated into Ukrainian. I'll just click here to go back to English. So here at the top, you've got our main navigation menu. What we've tried to do, similar to the old website, is lay it out in the chronological order of how you might experience the justice system. So start with arrest, go into court, community sentences, prison sentences, release, and there's some extra information here with support for families and some frequently asked questions. We'll delve a little bit more into these areas as we go on. Here we have our welcome to the helpline paragraph. So this just tells people where they are and what the website is. Here is what we call our homepage carousel. So the point of this is to feature, you can feature any page from the website on here. And it's really those high traffic pages. So you'll see we've got visiting prison, staying in touch, you can click through here, what to expect. And there's also a survey on here at the moment about communications on COVID information with families. So this is just a way so that users can visit the site and on the homepage very quickly see areas that they might want to have a look at. As we go down here, we've got another search function here and also these boxes. These are called home feed boxes, and they also are just a way to draw people's attention to high traffic areas of the website. So we have staying in touch, after arrest, what to expect, visiting prison, and release date. And it's important to say that we can change these at any time. So if we want to highlight a page like HDC, for example, because they've got new information, then we can put that in one of these homepage boxes, or we can feature it on our carousel. So scrolling down, here's our footer. So we have a lot of the kind of legal bits in here. So your privacy policy, we've got the site map, we have all rights reserved text, and a link to the PACT website, and to say that this is a contracted service under HMPPS. Here on the left, we have links to information for Scotland and Northern Ireland. So that goes to Families Outside website, and this goes to NIACRO. And we also have our follow us on Twitter here. And of course, a link to NICO website as well. So that's the home page. So now I'll take you through a bit of the content. So what we've tried to do is break down each area into subsections just to make all of the content as easily digestible and searchable as possible. So if you go into arrest, for example, you have after arrest. So this is what happens immediately after, being charged, bail, caution, and rights in custody. What we've done on each page as well. So if we go to after arrest, you see we have an image at the top of every single page now. And then we have all the information you would need broken down into these easy to digest kind of subheadings. We have a downloadable and printable fact sheet on most pages on this website. And then you'll notice at the top, we have this here, and it's called a breadcrumb. So if you click on here, arrest, it will take you to a landing page with all the other pages that are to do with that subject area. So next, I'll show you a bit about prison sentences. So on the old Prisoners Families web Helpline website, we used to have prison sentences and community sentences all in one big section. So to try and make it just easier to digest all of this information and get to what you need to find, essentially, we've split that out now into two sections. So there's a lot of information in prison sentences, as you can imagine. So what we've tried to do is break it down. So here at the top, you have your first days in prison section. So here you've got all the questions that if you're a family member and your loved one has just gone to prison in the first few days and weeks, what are the main things you're going to want to know? So that's where will they be taken? How do I locate somebody if I don't know where they've been taken? How do I organize a visit? How do I get help with the cost of visiting prison, staying in touch, and worries about self-harm and suicide? And then we've got some newly developed sections under here, like keeping safe in prison, which has a link to our safer custody portal and talks a little bit more about what safer custody means and what to do if you're worried about a loved one in prison or have an emergency. We have a newly developed healthcare in prison section. We worked closely with people for in NHS England to develop this. And we know from our work on the 10 Prisons Project and our work generally that healthcare in prison is one of the big concerns for family members. So it's really important to us that we had good information in there. Sentencing, what to expect of prison life. So this is another thing that we know families are often quite concerned with. What is a typical day in prison like? And really what was behind the redesign of this website as well is to try to answer people's questions and concerns through the content on the website so that they're not feeling they need to contact safer custody or call the helpline. They can find the information here if they need to. So here we have what's a typical day in prison like, not in COVID times, of course. So we have a little schedule here of what a normal day would be like. Some information about incentives and privileges, education and work, and healthcare. And we have a downloadable version of this page and also a downloadable and printable fact sheet, which has a jargon buster on there, which is going to be really helpful for families, we think. Moving along, of course, we have information on release. We have support for families section. There's a link to our helpline in there, and you'll see in this section we've reinstated the web contact form, so people can fill out the web form and it sends an email directly to the helpline team with information about their concern, and they can choose whether to be called back or emailed back. We also have useful links to lots of other helpful organizations. We're always wanting to keep this up to date. So if you see anything on here that you think, oh, maybe that should be taken off, or oh, actually you haven't got this organization, that'd be really useful, just let us know and we'll have a look at adding them. So we've broken this down into support for families, support for children, young people, information about the criminal justice system, support for people with convictions, staying in contact with prisoners, and then some links for Scotland as well. We also have the frequently asked questions section here. A lot of this information is already on the website, and these subsections do link to other areas of the website, but this was kind of built around what the helpline told us were the most frequently asked questions that they get from callers. So I'll show you locating a prisoner, for example. We've broken down the page here into little drop downs. So after a court appearance, and then it tells you what will happen directly after being in court. I think I know where they are. How do I get in touch? And then some more information and what happens after a transfer. So we've got on here frequently asked questions on locating your prisoner, keeping in touch, sending in clothing, making a complaint, and issues and complaints around probation. So I think that's everything with the main site. And now I'm going to take you over to the very exciting newly developed Safer Custody portal, or worries and concerns of how you'd view it as a user. So when you click on this button here, it takes you to this landing page. There is a video here on the top, which is just welcoming people to this section of the site, telling people a little bit about what they can expect to find in this area, what safer custody means, what constitutes an emergency, and what the different processes are if you have either of those concerns. So if you scroll down here, it says worried about a loved one in prison. This page will help you find out what to do if you have an urgent concern. So you have your drop down here. And when you click on this, it lists in alphabetical order every prison in England and Wales. So lots of information, as you can imagine. So if we click on HMP Brixton, for example, it comes up here, click on Brixton. So this is an example of what most of the pages will look like. It will have a link here for general information about HMP Brixton, which will take you to a more detailed visitor's guide on the PACT site. And then here it tells you if you have an emergency, so this is if someone's at risk of immediate serious harm, then here's the switchboard number and ask to be put through to the orderly officer. And then you have for urgent concerns that aren't life-threatening, and then it has Brixton's safer custody number. And then also the Prisoners' Families Helpline number for ongoing concerns. So every single prison in England and Wales is now on this website, and we have the safer custody number and emergency switchboard number on every single page. You'll see here we've got our breadcrumb again. So if we click on here, it will take you back to this landing page. So you're never going to get lost, essentially, or hopefully not have to use your back button. So as you'll know, we've been working with 3 prisons specifically, Foston Hall, Nottingham, and Eastwood Park. And we're doing, we're working with them on their safer custody practices and working with them to improve how they communicate with families, essentially. So things like tracking cases, calling them back, keeping them informed, and having a families first approach. So those 3 sites have slightly different pages. So I will take you to, let's go to Nottingham as an example. So Nottingham is one of our pilot sites. So when you click on the Nottingham page here, it's going to look quite different to all the other pages on the drop down. So you'll see here at the top, we have our icons. So we're breaking down the information into different categories, and we've got healthcare, bullying and violence, emotional support, prisoner contact, transfer and release, finances, visiting, property and clothing, and urgent numbers. So when you come to this page, you look for the subject area you need information on that's specific to Nottingham. So let's say you want some information on healthcare. These are anchored. So you click on that and it takes you straight down to your healthcare section. And all of this information is specific to Nottingham. So at the end of each section, so if I've clicked on healthcare, I look at all the information I need and I think, okay, great. Well, I also want to find out more about emotional support. I can click here at the bottom of every section to return to the main menu and go, okay, I want to look at emotional support now. It takes me down to emotional support information. Again, all specific to Nottingham. And you can see it all here. Back to the main menu. So that's what a pilot site looks like. So at the moment, we just have those more detailed pages for Nottingham, Foston Hall and Eastwood Park. So the idea, the plan for the future is to see over the coming months what families think of the new Safer Custody portal, in particular what they think about the information we have for the 3 pilot sites. And if they think it's useful, our hope is to roll out these more detailed pages for all prisons in England and Wales. So as you can imagine, that's a pretty big undertaking and lots of information to gather from each site. But we hope that it will be really useful for families. And the idea is that if they can access all of this information on the website, then it should, in theory, reduce calls to safer custody and to prison switchboards about questions that they can find the answers elsewhere. So it's all about efficiency, really, and making safer custody teams' lives easier rather than more difficult. So yeah, thank you very much. One thing I forgot to mention is on the footer of the homepage, you will find a link here to the website survey. We'd be very keen to hear your feedback on what you think of the changes to the website and any areas you think we can improve. So if you could take 5 minutes out of your time to have a look at the survey and fill it out, we'd be really interested to hear your views. So thanks very much.